Welcome to Rise and Shine, your daily business tech boost with me, Charly Leetham. If you're a small business owner looking to simplify technology and get real, actionable advice from someone with 35 years of IT experience, you're in the right place. Every episode, I'll dive into tools and systems like email, CRM, marketing and tracking, and I'll break them down into bite-sized tips you can use straight away. Your time is valuable, so let's get straight to the point. It's time to work smarter, not harder. Rise and Shine, as your dose of business tech inspiration with me, Charly Leetham. Episode number 647. Going to do a top 10 today because we're hitting December and everyone's rushing to finish work before the break. And somewhere in all of this chaos, our tech gets forgotten until something breaks. Every year I see business owners making similar mistakes, not the same mistakes, but similar mistakes. And every year I think, but we've talked about this earlier in the year. Maybe it was November, maybe it was October, maybe it was June or July, maybe it was February. So we're going to go through the top 10 tech mistakes businesses make every December and how to avoid them. Not becoming them, but how to avoid them. The first one is, of course, is the assumptions that backups work. Most people will assume backups are working without testing. You've got that backup plugin installed, right? You've got your hosting provider giving you your backups. You can see the files being created. The job's done. Isn't that right? Well, maybe it's not done. Having backups and having working backups are two completely different things. Is that a backup is it just a file with lots of other files sitting somewhere. A working backup is one that you've actually tested by restoring it. It's not uncommon for a business owner to discover in a crisis that their backups are corrupted, incomplete, or stored in a format they can't access. So what do you do? How do you make sure your backup is actually usable? Well, you take your latest backup and restore it to a test environment or a staging site. Does it work? Does everything function? Are all your images there? Can you log in? This isn't optional. It's the only way to know that your backups are actually viable. I know that sounds like a lot of work, and I'm not saying you should do it with every single backup you do, but I honestly believe this is something you should do on a quarterly basis, is take a sample backup and make sure it's working. If you're having trouble, restoring it to a testing environment or a staging site, you can always reach out to a company like mine, to myself, and say, hey, can you give us a hand? If you've done like a full cPanel backup or a full hosting backup, doing that restore is going to be a little bit more difficult. Most of those are stored in a zip format, so you should be able to open them up. You should be able to extract them to a hard drive and go through and see, there's my public HTML, or there's my web folder, there's all of my files. Yes, I can see them. There's all of my images. At the very least, if it fails, you can upload the individual files. Now, what do you do if your backup fails to restore? Well, you can fix it now. That's the point. That's the point of doing it. If you're finding that now, and if you're doing it quarterly and you're finding these problems, you can fix it now, not in January or February, or not when you need it, not after you've needed it and it's not working. Check your backup settings. Make sure they're backing up the database and the files. Verify that your storage location has enough space and test it again. Why is December the worst time to discover this? Because that's when your hosting provider will be having some time off. Typically, it's when your support people will be out with family, enjoying themselves. If your backups don't work, you could be stuck. You might not be stuck. You might have someone that is available 24/7, even across the Christmas period, and do it. It might just cost you extra to have someone come in and fix it for you. So if you're testing it now and not later in December when everyone's stressed and everyone's trying to get their work done to get out the door, you know that you've got it fixed. The second one is forgetting platforms when updating holiday hours. I spoke about this in another podcast recently. Make sure you update your website with your opening hours or your closing hours, or when you're going to be open or close. But also make sure that you're getting your other platforms. Have you put a notice on your social media? Have you updated your Google business profile? Are you in a couple of directories? Do you have like listings in directories that will promote you? Is it worthwhile going to them and putting your hours of operation in for the Christmas period? It's worthwhile doing. So you've got your social media bios. That may show old hours. It may not show the hours for for your current for the holiday period. Your email signatures could well contradict your website. That's an easy one to forget, actually. If your email signature says available Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, but your website says you're closed for 2 weeks, mixed messages can damage that trust and reputation. Your calendar booking systems are still taking appointments. This is such a huge one. You've told everyone you're closed, but your booking calendar is still letting people schedule appointments for December 27th. Block out those dates, or you'll be dealing with angry clients who booked thinking you'd be available. There is so much customer frustration when things don't match. When customers see different information in different places, they don't know what to believe. They don't know whether you're open, whether you're closed. Some will show up when you're closed, some will leave bad reviews, some will just go to a competitor and never come back. So it's really important that you get these dates across the board. And look, I like checklists. I like having lists of things that I can go through and say, yes, I've updated there. Yes, I've updated there. Yes, I've updated there. Not going to say that I don't forget things because it's easy to do. The third one is ignoring credit card expiry dates on your subscriptions, auto renewals that are tied to expiring credit cards. If December is the month that your credit card is expiring and you're hosting your email service, your payment process, or any other critical subscription is tied to that card, those renewals will fail and you may lose access to your service, and that's going to cause you problems. That means that when you come back in January, you find that your website might not be active. You can't access your email. You can't get into your CRM. You can't access your accounting system. Now, some providers offer a little bit of leeway. They'll give you a couple of weeks to get it sorted. But if you leave the office on December 23rd and you're not back into the office and you're not checking your emails until January 17th, you're really going to be pushing it close to the wind. So go through every subscription service you use. Check the card on file. Check the expiry date. If it expires in December or January, update it to a card that's valid till later in the year. Try to set up some backup payment methods before you leave. Many services will let you add a backup service or a backup payment method. Do it. If the primary card fails, they'll try the backup method automatically. It's a safety net that costs you nothing. Well, it might cost you nothing. It should cost you nothing and could save your business from going offline. Not documenting passwords before your staff leave. Now, I'm not going to say your staff should be writing their passwords down. I've covered this in a more recent episode. But if your staff member is going on leave, or if your staff or your team members are going on leave and they have the password to something critical, they say they'll remember it, then they go on leave and you need access to it. You can't get in touch with them or they don't remember it. What do? Look, my recommendation, and I covered this in episode 643, make sure you're using things like a password manager like Zoho Vault or RoboForm. Share the access to that passwords that need to be accessible when someone's away. Don't rely on memory or sticky notes. In fact, please don't rely on sticky notes. Please don't write them down somewhere where anyone can access them. If this happens, like if your team member has a password, access to a system and you don't, you're gonna get locked out of an email account. You're gonna get locked out of a critical system. You can't reset the password because you don't have access to their email account. You can't access your accounting system because that team member changed the password. Whatever it is, don't leave it till the last minute. Don't let them just walk out of the office without making sure they've updated their passwords in the password manager themselves. Have an emergency access plan. So if everything goes wrong, who is it that's going to get contacted? How do they get access? What's the escalation process? Don't figure this out in a crisis. Have this written down before you all go and try and relax. The fifth one is scheduling updates during closure. There, a lot of systems will have automatic updates that run when nobody's watching. WordPress plugins, themes, they all have auto update options. If these updates run during your closure and something breaks, how long will it be before you notice? How long before you can fix it? You need to consider here the threat and risk profile and your threat or your risk appetite of, if an update fails and my website goes down and it's down for 2 weeks, is that going to be a problem? Or if it's down for 3 days, is it going to be a problem? Or delaying those updates for a couple of days, or having an organization like mine that manages all of that for you. You need to consider what your risk update is. I also would recommend doing your updates before you go, but not too close to the date that you go. So don't do them on December 24th at midday if you're closing the office at 4 p.m. If something goes wrong, you have only got 4 hours before you're supposed to close the office and you're supposed to be out the door. That might be okay, but you don't want that stress. So do them a couple of days before. Make sure you've got all of this stuff in hand. I see GitHub publishing regularly, don't push to production on a Friday afternoon. Yeah, that's pretty much right. Now, I spoke about a lot of this in episode 518. Updates need monitoring and the ability to roll back if something goes wrong. You need to have a contingency for when things go wrong. If you're going to be out of the office and if you don't have a tech team, if you don't have an organization like mine backing you up, seriously, I would recommend making sure that your auto updates are turned off and you turn them back on when you walk into the office. Maybe I'm going to have security people screaming at me about that one. Um, Too many people set up auto updates thinking it's safer to always be current. Sometimes it's not. This isn't an across the board thing. It is about your risk appetite. It is about what you're prepared to wear in the case of something going wrong. Okay, so the sixth one I have is it'll be fine. Procrastination in November becomes crisis in December. Everything we've covered, this is everything I've covered in episode 638 to 643 about preparing for the holidays. That's November work. Now, if you haven't done it by now, you should be doing it now. If you wait any longer into December, you're going to be behind. You are probably a little behind already, but you are going to definitely be behind. When things are working, checking them feels like busy work, but the whole point of checking is to find problems before they become crises. It's really important. That's going to cause, if you leave it until it becomes a crisis, you're going to experience things like lost revenue, lost reputation, lost trust if your website is down. You're going to lose that time fixing the problems that could have been prevented. The whole thing of it will be fine, nothing's going to break. I'll deal with it when I deal with it. If it happens, can be expensive. Now, this is where it gets really difficult as a business owner. Sometimes it's okay to say I'll deal with it if it becomes a problem. The sorts of things I've been covering, though, up until now are things that you can check easily and know this might be a problem. I need to look at it before we go on holidays. Make these checks part of your November routine every year if you haven't already done them. And I know we're hitting December now. If you haven't already done them, set them up for next year. The same time, same checklist every year. It stops being a burden and becomes just what you do before the holiday periods. And periods even. You don't just have to do them in November. If you have a holiday period where your office shuts down, run these checks. What does fine actually require, though? What does everything will be fine actually mean, and what does it require? It means that you've got your backups in place, your monitoring, your documentation, updated contact details, working payment systems, someone who can step in, hello, like me, if needed. Fine doesn't just happen by accident. Fine is something that we actually manufacture. The seventh one, and this is actually a really interesting one that came up for me when I was sitting down thinking about this list, is not defining what is an emergency. Everything feels urgent during the holidays. Clients panic. They email saying it's urgent. But is it actually an emergency that requires interrupting your holiday, or is it something that can wait a week? If you set you should set your emergency criteria before you leave. So what does qualify as an emergency? The website completely down, payment processing broken, data breach. Define it clearly so whoever's covering knows what requires immediate action, understands what needs to be escalated to you, regardless of whether you are on holiday or not, and what needs to be passed off as quickly as possible to get it fixed. Communicating emergency processes to our clients is also important. Tell our clients before we leave what constitutes an emergency and how to reach you for one. Most urgent issues aren't emergencies, they're just things people want done now. Now, here's the thing. There's a cost of having no boundaries. If everything's an emergency, you'll never actually get a break. You're constantly checking email, constantly anxious, constantly available. That's just not sustainable. Now, in episode 643, I covered empowering a coverage person. Give them clear authority to make decisions. Don't make them run everything past you, or they're not really covering, they're just answering the phone. So make sure your coverage person or your coverage team has clear guidelines as to what they can do up until the point where they actually need to contact you. If they can just handle something and leave you alone and you walk back into the office and they say, "We did this," great. Let them do it. If it's not quite right, you now have something you can address later on, but you don't have to be involved in every step of the process. The eighth one, what your email and your document storage limits. I call this the January email flood. You come back in January to hundreds of emails in your inbox. It could be full. Emails could be bouncing. Senders are getting mailbox full errors. You're losing business and you don't even know it. You need to check your storage before you leave. Now, I'm going to point back to episode 428. Yes, that many episodes ago for Gmail, but it applies to every email system. Check how much storage you're actually using. If you're over 80%, clean it out before you leave. If your email mailbox fills up, new mails are going to bounce back to the senders. They're going to think that you're ignoring them. Yes, they will have a message that says this email can't be accepted because the inbox is full, but reading those error messages is really tricky, and honestly, they're awfully formatted. Some will try again, some won't. You've just lost leads and damaged relationships without realizing it. You could look at setting up email forwarding to a backup. If your main inbox is likely to fill, set up forwarding to a backup account that has more space. At least the emails will get captured somewhere. That one's a little more tricky, and requires a lot more thought, because that might mean that you need an extra subscription somewhere. So you might be adding extra costs to your business to do it. It could be really worthwhile in doing it and having that backup on a separate platform. I honestly, if you look at episode 428, I go through a whole heap of things there. But cleaning out large attachments and old emails before you leave, archive or delete old emails with large attachments. Just remove the large attachments. Make sure you've got them downloaded to your storage, but that's going to free up space in your inbox, in your email system, so that incoming emails have somewhere to land. I would also recommend doing this with your document storage. If you've got automation processes that have emails that come in and say, "Oh, this is attached to the email, I've got to save it off to my document storage," make sure you've got room in your document storage. Number 9 isn't exactly a tech tip, it is just a business tip, and that's not scheduling invoices before cash flow dies. December payment delays. Clients close early. Cash flow starts to dry up. Accounts departments disappear. Payments stall. If you don't get invoices out before mid-December, you might not see payment until late January. So don't wait until you're sending out that big invoice until December 24th. you won't get paid until at least the beginning of January, if not earlier. That's my general assumption on this stuff is that people are not there. They're not checking their emails. They're not paying their bills, not deliberately. It's just that they are on holidays. You might consider sending invoices earlier with longer terms. I did cover this in the episode 641. Send December invoices in late November. I know we're in beginning of December now. Maybe send them now with 14 to 21 days instead of terms instead of your usual 7 days. Give people time to pay before you close or before they close. Again, in episode 641, I covered this. Set up automated reminders so invoices don't get forgotten. A polite, this is due soon email a day before it's due, and then this is now overdue email 7 days after can make the world of difference to people paying the bill on time. This is something that I actually recommend going forward as well, but particularly at this time of year, there's a lot of emails flying around. Invoices could just be missed. It's easy to do. They get buried in the deluge of email that comes through. But if you're setting up automations, the likelihood of someone seeing a reminder in the inbox is higher. Like you just got more odds of it happening. If you don't manage this sort of thing properly, you'll have no income from mid-December to late January. It's highly possible. That's like 6 weeks that you don't have cash flow coming through. Can your business survive that? Do you need if you can minimize the impacts of this by doing all of these things? So you also kind of need to make some plans for the gap. Either you get paid before you leave or make sure you've got enough reserves to cover the January expenses. If you don't think you're going to cover the January expenses, reach out to your providers, talk to them, ask them to, give you a little bit more. Some providers are really good in January and just say, look, we're not going to invoice you till later because we know what it's like. But some don't, some are automated. So just reach out to them. If you think you're going to be a little shorter, it's going to be a little tight, reach out to them, have the conversation up front. Tip number 10, and that's waiting until December 23rd or December 24th. I'm going to call this the meta mistake. This is the mistake that causes all the other mistakes. Procrastinating until the last possible moment means you're rushed. You forget things and you don't have time to fix things properly. You don't even have time to fix the problems that you discover, let alone fix the things that you know about. Prepping in November, and I know we're in December, but prepping in November and even this early in December means that everything on the list, it means that you've covered everything on the list and now you're just confirming it's all in place and that it still matters and you're making final adjustments. You're not trying to fix problems. You're just making sure everything is flowing and ticking along as it should. The December 23rd scramble means you're trying to do all the checks on your last working day. Something's wrong, you need to fix it. By now you're working late or you're leaving things broken or you've got to hand it off to someone else who wants to go on holidays as well or to take their break as well. You're not actually taking time off because you're dealing with all these problems. Build a holiday prep checklist. Write down everything you need to check. Date it. Do it in November. Review it in early December. Adjust it if needed. I know I'm putting this out in early December. Do it now and then get it ready for next year. Make sure that you've got all this in place for next year. I know I should have done this episode way earlier. This is going to bring you peace of mind. It's going to bring you the peace of mind of being prepared. If you've done all this in November or even now, the remainder of your December should feel calmer, or this side of your business should feel calmer. I can't guarantee you what it's going to feel like on the client side of things, on the customer side of things, on the front facing side of things. You can actually get to finish work on your last day and walk away knowing that things aren't going to fall apart. That's what good preparation is going to buy you. My note here says December doesn't have to be chaos. I'm going to say, look, December is chaos. It's always busy, unless you're in that type of industry that things just aren't chaos. And I can't think of many, even businesses that aren't, aren't always busy or doing things around the Christmas or for Christmas period. They tend to service businesses who are, so it does tend to get chaotic. My experience is a lot of tech disasters occur during holidays, and that they are predictable and preventable. Test your backups, update your hours, check your payment methods, document access, don't schedule updates during closing hours or during closure times. Define your emergencies, make sure your storage has got heaps of storage there, particularly your email storage. Get your invoices out earlier. And please don't wait until December 23rd to do any of this. Do it now. Start now. You won't regret it. Okay, look, I've covered a lot of these topics in detail over the last few weeks, episodes 638 to 643. I've also mentioned at least one that I've covered things in more detail earlier this year, or 428. They might have even been last year. I don't know. No, it would have been this year. I can't remember when I've done all these things. If you've missed them, if you miss those episodes, go back and listen to them. They'll walk you through exactly what to check and how to do it. The short version is this, though: prepare in November, confirm in early December, and actually enjoy your break, knowing you've done the work to keep things running. Alrighty, guys, it's a bit of a lecture. I'm not a big one on doing top 10 things, but these ones are important. Making sure that your business can run and will run over Christmas and after Christmas or up to Christmas, and then let you have a break, let you recharge your batteries, let you enjoy the time with the family, all of those things that go along with this time of the year. It's important. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you are doing. Let me know what you're thinking. That's just way too much work, Charly. Like, we can't do that. I'd love to know. Come and join me in my community, askcharlyleetham.locals.com. Have the conversations there. Ask the questions. If you are looking for support across the break, have a chat to me. I've got some great services. I will be taking a short break, but I am planning on being around because I've got clients that I've said I'm going to support across this period. I'd love to hear from you. If I've asked more questions than I've answered, that's a good thing. I want to know what your questions are so that I know how to answer them. I know what things are coming up as I'm talking about these things. Ask them over in my community. You can, of course, leave comments wherever you are watching or listening to these videos. I will get back to them eventually. If this video was handy, please give it a like and maybe share it with a friend. And if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel and ringing the notification bell so you find out when I drop more content. And guys, I'll see you all the day after tomorrow. Bye. Hey there, thanks so much for tuning in to Rise and Shine, your daily business tech boost. I hope today's episode gave you some actionable insights that will make your business tech work smarter for you. If you found value, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other small business owners who could use a daily boost. For more tips, tools, and resources, visit www.askcharlyleetham.com. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and let's make tech simple together.